For years, politics in Nepal seemed impossible to change. The same political parties kept dominating the system, the same leaders kept returning to power. But recently, something unexpected happened. Last year, young people across the country organized protest against the system. They marched in the streets demanding accountability and they called for real political change. At first, many people believed these demonstrations would fade away like many protests before them. Surprisingly, this time everything changed. The protest was stronger, the pressure increased and reshaped the political landscape of Nepal. This is question why, and today we ask why Nepal's Gen Z protest was a success. To understand the protests, we first need to understand the situation that led to them. For years, many young people in Nepal had grown frustrated with the country's political system. Traditional parties had dominated politics for decades, but many citizens felt that corruption, economic problems, and political instability were not improving. At the same time, Nepal has a very young population. Millions of young voters were entering adulthood while facing unemployment and rising living costs. The frustration began to grow, especially in the major cities like Kathmandu. Eventually, protests began to appear in the streets. At first, they were small, but over time the demonstrations grew larger and began attracting national attention. So why did these protests succeed where many others failed? There are three key reasons. First, the movement was strongly driven by young people. Generation Z voters were highly active, motivated, and willing to demand change. Unlike previous protests, this movement had strong participation from students, young professionals, and first-time voters. Second, social media played a powerful role. Young activists used online platforms to spread information, organize demonstrations, and mobilize supporters quickly. This helped the protests grow rapidly across different parts of the country. Third, the movement eventually gained broader public support. Many ordinary citizens who were already frustrated with the political system began supporting the protests as well. Once that wider support appeared, the pressure on the political leadership increased significantly. The impact of these protests became clear during Nepal's recent national election. New political forces gained strong support from voters who wanted change. One of the figures who gained attention during this political shift is Balendra Shah, an ex-rapper whose popularity reflects the growing demand for new leadership. The election results showed that many voters were ready to support alternatives to traditional political parties. In many ways, the success of these protests demonstrated the growing influence of younger voters in Nepal's democracy. Nepal's Gen Z protesters have shown that when a new generation becomes politically active, even long-standing political systems cannot do anything but bring change. But this whole situation does not guarantee long-term reform. The real challenge now is whether these political changes will bring lasting improvements for the country. Can Nepal's new political momentum truly transform the system? What do you think? Let us know in the comment section. This is Question Why. Until next time.